Wow, I don't even know where to start with this. There is a lot that has happened with the Nintendo Switch 2 today. We have rumors, we have leaks, and we obviously have confirmation on stuff. And obviously some of these leaks and rumors are a very big deal right now. I mean, we're talking about a Nintendo Direct happening within the next 2 weeks. That's kind of crazy. We're going to be talking about all of it today, what we could be seeing, because we got games getting leaked now. Lots of things happening. We have updates regarding the Switch 2, but you already know I'm about to ask. If y'all have not subscribed already, we're going to New York City in a few days. We're going to be vlogging the Nintendo Switch 2 line. We'll be waiting in line for 7 days for the Switch 2. I already got my midnight pass, so we're getting a Switch 2 there, and it's going to be an absolute blast. I would love to somehow hit 19,000 subscribers while I'm in New York. I don't know if that's possible though. We've been uploading every single day on this channel regarding Switch 2 stuff and sometimes Switch 1, so I'd greatly appreciate it. Without further ado, let's jump right into the news. Let's go over the one that has just happened just a few hours ago, and that is the iconic Brazilian leaker has now come out and said that a Nintendo Direct will be happening within June, and has even gone so far as to say when we should be expecting said Direct. Now, he's come out and said that he believes the Direct will be happening either the launch week of the Nintendo Switch 2 or the week after. Which, if we look at our timeline of events, I don't think this is going to be the case. If you look at the launch week of the Switch 2, I feel like Nintendo is really going to want that to be the priority. And on top of that, they have the Summer Games Fest happening the same week. So I don't really know if it makes sense for Nintendo to do a Direct in the same week of their big console on top of the Summer Games Fest. If there is one happening, it wouldn't be the day of the Summer Games Fest, and it certainly, in my opinion, would not be the day of the Switch 2 coming out. I feel like, especially considering that Wednesday they have all these events happening for the Switch 2, I guess it's a possibility. I mean, we've seen Nintendo do a lot of things that just people was not expecting when it comes to this system. As we saw with the last Direct with the Switch 1, is that they had it a week before the big Switch 2 presentation. So I guess anything is possible, but one thing that I want to point out when it comes to this Brazilian leaker is he actually is very credible, but something that I have noticed regarding the information that he posts is that anytime he talks about a date, he's always wrong. Every time he talks about a date of when we should expect this type of news, always wrong. Anything that comes from like what he's saying, like game-wise, he's always correct about. But anything with a date, he's gotten Direct dates wrong before. In fact, he said that there was going to be a Direct in February. That Direct that we got obviously happened in March. He gets the dates very wrong. So I actually don't think we're going to see the Direct. Probably, if I was a betting person, I think we would see the Nintendo Direct happen June 17th or 18th. If it's not those two dates, I'm expecting probably June 24th or 25th. I do know that over the last few years, Nintendo has liked to have their big summer Direct around that 25th mark. But I will say that last year's Direct for the summer happened on the 16th. Am I correct about? No, it's the 18th. June 18th is when their big summer Direct happened. So that was the first time that they kind of went away from that. Personally, I don't think it's happening the first 2 weeks. I think Nintendo's going to be focused on the other stuff, and then they'll look at maybe doing a Nintendo Direct. I do think what this leaker is saying is true, that something is happening. Obviously, there's so many games that we don't know about with the Nintendo Switch 2 right now regarding release dates. Drag X Drive is obviously one that we know is coming out in the summer, and we're about to be in the summer, and we yet to have a release date or really know much of what that game's supposed to be. So I think that there's definitely a Direct happening. We're going to see news on Hyrule Warriors most likely, maybe future titles that haven't been announced, even though Nintendo already has a big library, Donkey Kong. They got plenty of things to show off, so this makes a lot of sense, especially with all the third-party games that have been rumored left and right over the last few days. Another thing that has happened today that I think kind of boosts this whole Nintendo Direct thing going on is, and I'm still trying to figure out the credibility of this person, but everyone's going with it, so I'm saying take this with a giant grain of salt with what this person says. However, the only reason why we're talking about this is because the stuff that he's saying has been leaked ever since, honestly, before the Switch 2 even got announced. This is stuff that's been leaked, I want to say, probably about 2 years ago. Now, this comes from Attack the Backlog, and he had an interview with insider Nash Whittle. Now, apparently this is a big Nintendo insider that has done a lot of things over the last few years of getting things correct. I was trying to find information on this guy and I couldn't find anything, if I'm honest. But according to Twitter, people are saying that he's a big deal. The only reason why we're talking about it is just some of the things that he said. And one of the things that he quote unquote leaked has me believe him just a tiny bit. One of the things that he said in this interview is that Nintendo has a giant game coming out this year that has not been announced yet. He said it was not a 3D Mario. He heard that a 3D Mario was happening next year, and he also couldn't say much more after that because he was afraid that he was going to get a Nintendo employee in trouble, and he thought that he might have said too much with the fact of giving us that type of statement, which to me I thought was kind of weird considering that he leaked some other big deal games, but I thought that was very interesting. If Nintendo has another big game, then we would probably hear it at this summer direct. And something that this leaker has been talking about over the last few years, and this is where this whole thing started. I do know when I was looking into this guy, this is the person that started this. If you've paid attention over the last few years, you've heard people talk about the fact that Zelda Ocarina of Time was potentially getting remade. There was a whole rumor that started with that, and it came from this individual. And he said that this game is still being in the works, that it's being completely redone, and that there's going to be things done different behind it. That's really all that he said. And I thought when I was listening into this interview with the captions, kind of seemed like he was teasing that that might actually be the 2025 game that we don't know about. But the thing with that is we already kind of have a Zelda game coming out, Hyrule Warriors. That's also coming out in the holiday season. And the guy kind of made it sound like that this unannounced game was the holiday title for Nintendo. So I don't know if it really makes sense to have two Zelda games, although Hyrule Warriors is like a completely different thing. It is Zelda related, but it's not your traditional Zelda gameplay. So I don't know where this falls in, but it's a possibility. I will say something to add on to this Ocarina of Time thing is that Aonuma has always shot down things when it comes to remakes on Zelda games, future Zelda sequels, stuff like that. When it comes to Ocarina of Time, anytime he's asked about that, he's never shot it down. I thought that was very interesting. He's flat out deconfirmed games before when it comes to Zelda, and this is one that he did not deconfirm, which I thought was very interesting, something that I've noticed over the last few years. So maybe there's some credibility behind it. He also said that Nintendo is the ones developing this, so that should be very interesting because I believe Nintendo did the Wind Waker HD port. The reason why I also am talking about this is other games that he leaked was stuff with Platinum Games. He says that Astral Chain 2 is coming pretty soon and will come out before Bayonetta 4. He says that Bayonetta 4 is in development on top of that, and is also saying that Nintendo is going to be re-releasing Bayonetta 1 through 3 on Nintendo Switch 2, which is kind of why I'm starting to maybe put a little bit of stock into this. I'm still not 100% on this guy. I do remember probably, I want to say maybe 2022, maybe very early 2023, Bayonetta was reported to be a game in the works for Nintendo Switch 2, and it was the trilogy being remade for Nintendo Switch 2. And nothing ever came out about that, and the fact that this is now coming back out of the blue kind of makes sense, especially considering that Platinum Games right now doesn't really have much to develop for. And Bayonetta 4 being in development kind of makes sense if we go back to the video where we talked about the Kamiya interview, because Kamiya kind of implied that Bayonetta 4 was in development, but he wasn't really sure what was going on with it anymore since everyone left, which kind of makes me feel like why we're getting Astral Chain 2. And honestly, I still think there's a possibility that Bayonetta 4 might just get flat out canceled, and you'll get this trilogy remake, whatever this would be considered from Nintendo, on the Switch 2. And that might be it, especially with Astral Chain 2 coming out. I don't know. That's why I put a little bit stock in this guy, but I don't know what he's gotten right. I just know that it's been reported that he's a Nintendo insider. I don't know. I saw people talking about it where they're thinking Zelda Ocarina of Time this year is happening. So I figured we would talk about it, talk about the legitimateness of this leaker, what's real, what's fake. This one's gonna be all up to you guys in the comments. How do y'all feel about that one? Are y'all team real, team fake on that one? I don't know. I feel like some of what he's saying is actually kind of true, but I feel like some of the other stuff I'm like, I don't know. All right, so we got some Yakuza news for the Nintendo Switch 2. Obviously, we know that Yakuza 0 for the Switch 2 is a brand new version of the game. It is the director's cut, which is supposed to add new content to the game. I believe new voice acting, English voice acting, all that type of stuff, because I've been seeing how they've been hyping up certain voice actors being in the game. David Hayter was one of them. And they've also confirmed that, I don't know if this is spoilers, so Coleman, you might have to put a timestamp right here or something. Spoiler warning, potentially. Coleman's going to be the one to decide if this is spoilers or not because he's played the game. But apparently it's been confirmed that there is actual closure into this game. That there is 27 minutes of added cutscenes into the game that is supposed to give some sort of closure. I don't know what that means, what that's supposed to imply. Don't know if this game ends on a cliffhanger. I've never played this series before, but I know that's something that they announced and hyped up, which is kind of crazy, which I guess this game is more being advertised towards the fans that have played it, if they're doing that type of stuff. It's called the director's cut. So yeah, be very interesting to see what comes out of that, and I'm very interested to see what Coleman thinks of this, since he's the one that's played this series. So he'll probably be telling me his thoughts on this once he gets to this part of the video. All right, we're talking about Costco. I don't know, man. I don't know why we're talking about Costco. Actually, I understand why. This is actually kind of pretty good savings. Obviously, Costco will be selling the Nintendo Switch 2. They actually didn't do pre-orders from my understanding. So if for whatever reason the Switch 2 is hard to find, that might be the perfect place to find one, because you have to be a member, of course, to order off their website or go into the store. And they have an exclusive bundle for the Switch 2. It's the Mario Kart bundle with 12 months of Nintendo Switch Online expansion for $525. I think that saves you about $25 on the membership, because I believe the online membership is about 50 or 60 bucks. So overall, they're making that bundle that was already a pretty good deal an even greater deal. Pro controller is going to be $74.99. I don't think that's the same price everywhere else, but the one thing that is a big deal, or kind of a big deal, I mean, any money savings is important right now, is that they're going to be selling Donkey Kong Bananza for $62. So that's a pretty nice savings to have. Another thing that came out from Nintendo is they've confirmed that the game chat feature and the game share is going to have different options when it comes to full screen. When you've seen this game screen mode being used with the game chat, it's kind of looked like it is stuck on one mode where you have to see everyone's screens. But Nintendo's confirmed that there's a medium mode and then a full screen mode, to where you don't have to worry about having to see all the other unnecessary stuff. Honestly, to me, that's exciting. I'm still not using this, but I thought it was very annoying and very noticeable to see all the other gameplays being like 3 frames per second while you got your game running at 60 frames per second, for example. So it's good that they're giving that option, I guess. I still don't see myself using this though. Last thing I want to say about the other leaker, he was also saying that Meteoroid Prime 2 and 3 was coming to the Switch. He didn't say in what form. He did say that this would be announced via the Nintendo Today app. So it's being very clear about that one. So, I mean, I don't know. Guys, that's everything I have for you. Let me know what you guys think of what's going on here. I think the Nintendo Direct thing makes sense. I think the leaker that we talked about, where he's saying big game coming, all that type of stuff, also kind of makes sense a little bit. I just think there's some things in here that don't really make sense. Like 3D Mario not happening this year. Kind of surprising when you consider it's the 40th anniversary and Mario has always done something for its anniversary. But at the end of the day, we're going to find out if this leaker is correct at all, because some of the stuff that he's saying we would know about pretty soon. If a Nintendo Direct happens, we're going to hear about this big holiday title that was teased in the interview. So we will see. At the end of the day, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Guys, I have been talking for way too much. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out the Twitter, check out the Discord, Instagram, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.